Welcome in, gang, to West Georgia TV's presentation of our preseason preview of the high school football season 2023 right here in the West Georgia area. Again, I am joined by Matt Skinner, Bryce Sparling, I'm Tom Araquazo, and guys, we left them in the last segment with the top three teams that we see, or I see, if you will, in our area. I think those three are the top three in Bowden, Carrollton, and Central this season, if you will.
And I encourage people, not to cut you off, Tom, but I encourage people don't feel bad. It's preseason.
Right.
We're in the preseason. This is on paper.
And we're looking at
reading
talent,
on paper.
just talent alone.
Yes. Yeah.
But let's dive into a few of these other teams. Let's start with the Bremen Blue Devils. Bremen last season, a kind of a subpar season, finished fourth in the region, got the eventual state champions in the first round, played really good football against a very good football team there in that first half of football against the state champions. And that team, what was Cedar Grove, right?
Yeah, Cedar Grove.
As if they're one of the, in all classifications.
Well, they should have won, but they got Sandy Creek.
Right.
Sandy Creek ended up winning on the most controversial.
That's right.
One of the controversial plays.
Yeah, they wanted a rule that changed. The champion.
Sandy Creek won it. That's right.
Yeah.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought Sandy Creek
Sandy
lost.
Creek won. They got stopped on the 2-yard line, but they gave them the touchdown.
They gave him the touchdown. That's right. And then what happened? The Cedar Town's the one that got hosed and everything too. But getting back to that, Bremen went into last season very, very young.
I think that's an understatement.
Yeah, you're looking at their offensive team near the end of the season. Bremen's sitting there with 9 of their 11 starters are either sophomore or freshman. And these cats normally would be playing JV football.
I was about to say, it's a JV.
They're playing on Monday or Thursday. You know, when I was in school, JV played on Thursday. I think they play a lot of them on Mondays now so they can have more time and more quarters to play by Friday
kids
night.
Kids, they have over 200 pounds.
1, maybe 2.
No, I'm being in all honesty, how many actual big guys did they have?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, they're very young. You're taking a team that is basically a JV team, and they're playing on Friday nights under the lights. And they're playing against, you're talking about 14, 15-year-olds playing against 17 and 18-year-olds. And that's the difference. And we all know 14 and 18, there's a huge difference in growth, strength, speed, all that stuff, knowledge. But the thing about Bremen, again, they were very, very young, but these kids got a lot of experience. They did get to play on Friday night. They did get to play against these number ones and these older kids, which to me is going to help make it a little bit better come this season because they're not freshmen and sophomores. They're sophomores and juniors now. But those sophomores have been playing last year as freshmen, so they got the experience. They got the Friday Night Live experience. I think it's going to help Bremen. I think Bremen's going to have a much better season than what we seen out of them last year.
Yeah, I'll just start and just talk about the players that they did have, and Jonah Hatchett and Cam O'Neill, those two guys, Par Folsom, and McPherson, and I don't want to start naming names because we can start going down that trail, but they just got better and better and better and better each and every week, and I think that's all you can ask of Coach Russell could ask of a young team. You know, just get better and better each and every week. Follow the game plan, and heck, they had who was it? Team they ended up losing. It was between the 3 and the 4 seed.
Daresville.
They had Daresville on the ropes.
Had them on the ropes.
They had Daresville on the ropes, and here I am just blanking. Cahulla Creek. It was Cahulla Creek who had their best year in school history. And they went up there and and had a chance to beat them. But they just played everybody in the region so tough. And I think with as much as they have coming back, it's hard to say that they might not sneak up and win the dang thing.
Top 2 in the region.
Finish top 2. It's going to be them and Daresville again.
I can see that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, especially if you're a Bremen fan, that you want to see this year's growth. I mean, you want to set we talked about everybody's goal should be before the start of the year is to win a state championship. But what you really want to see out of this team this year is growth. You want to see them grow. You want to see them getting into hard situations and overcome them or show that they're going to overcome them. I think they might still be a year or two away just because of how young they are, but it's going to pay dividends. It's going to pay off this year, later in the year, this year, and even more next year when all this experience builds up. You're sort of taking your lumps up front, if you will, and it's going to pay dividends in the back end. It's like a boxing match. When you get those body shots in early in the round, I mean, they just pay dividends later in the round. That's sort of what Bremen's doing. They're getting their body shots in now. Might take some lumps along the way, but later this season and even in the next season, this team is going to be really, really good and really formidable.
Well, again, playing on that Friday night, they're instead of playing JV, they're playing against the speed. Because, see, that's the difference. When you start talking about the difference between middle school, JV, and varsity, and then on into college and pro, the steps are the speed of the game. The speed of the game from JV to varsity is night and day difference. From high school to college, night and day difference. From college to pro, when you start talking about the speed of the game. And I think that helps because, again, you take a bunch of young kids that would have been playing on Monday, just dressing out on a Friday night, you know what I mean? Playing grab tail with each other on the sideline, you know the thing. You know how it is whenever you're the young
And I'm looking at
they got the experience.
And I'm looking at their schedule. They got Hurt County, so familiar. They got Hurt County and Bowden.
Two tough foes.
Two tough foes, and then
conference.
Haralson County.
And they're going to play Haralson County. So, I mean, you're going to play three pretty tough teams and get physically challenged
before you
get into region play, which is exactly what you want as a coach. You'll find out a lot about your team after those 3 games.
And those are learning games. Those are perfect for what Bremen needs to do is learn what they have this year, and they can do it against those 3 really good opponents. They're not region,
Right.
Try some stuff
have
out.
to travel 20 miles.
Exactly.
And the rival games.
There's
going to be good gates. There's going to be a lot of fans. It's going to be a lot of good stuff. Moving on to the Temple Tigers, Coach Corey Nix and his crew, second year over at Temple. Seems like the wheels kind of fell off the bus for them at the end of the year. I mean, they started out playing really good competitive football on the way to about week 8, and it just kind of seemed like things started snowballing the other
Lamar
way.
County game,
That got them. I think that was the turning point of that season for Temple. But Coach Nix, Coach Hostetler, and them over there, we know that they're going to have their kids ready to play football come this year.
Well, I really like C.J. Gray, the running back. I mean, he's a good player, and he's a really good kid, very respectful. And he was fun to watch last year. And, if they can find something on the line of scrimmage, Temple's always had athletes. They've always had, guys that can make the plays. And losing Cam Vaughn obviously hurts.
Yes.
I mean, he's a generational talent for a school like Temple. I mean, those guys don't come in very often. They are going to miss Cam, so who's going to step up and play, quarterback? I'm excited to see, Coach Nix's son Hudson Nix. He's probably going to help lead that defense and play a lot on both sides of the ball. So
Gibbons at quarterback.
Gribbin at quarterback. Temple's middle school program has been in the championship game the last 3 years, so we're starting to see a little bit of the progression in that program, building from the middle school up. So this could be a breakout year for the Tigers a little bit. We'll see.
I like it.
Yeah, they're sort of my next up team. I really love what Coach Corey Nix is doing out there. I'm a huge Corey Nix fan. And what he's doing with that middle school program, I saw it in the rec this year with some of their younger teams. What he's doing out there with the rec program, it is bringing, Hudson's going to be awesome at linebacker, bringing in C.J. Gray, like you said, at running back. He's going to be great this year. Hostetler out there. I'm a big Temple Tigers fan this year. I think they might be my pick to be our surprise team in the West Georgia area for how well they do this year. Coach Nix talked about last year after that Pepperell game. They lost a couple games in the fourth quarter, couldn't hang on, and sort of lost focus and lost those games. And I kind of thought the Pepperell game was going to be one of those turning point games. The season didn't end up exactly how they wanted it. But I think they can recall in that Pepperell game to look what we can accomplish when we play all 4 quarters. I can't wait to watch the Temple Tigers play this year.
That was the thing to me that whenever I call the Temple games, Temple just did not play 4 quarters of football. Yeah. And the games that they won in the second half because they started out slow and had to make comebacks on. But yeah, I love Evan Hostetler. I love him. And I think what him and Coach Nix and them are doing over there, again, the middle school, it speaks it. Whenever your middle school starts playing in those championships each year, then you get the winning attitude, the winning mindset.
I'm a big vibe guy.
Yeah.
Like gut feeling type guy. I got a good vibe about Temple this year. Got a good gut feeling about Temple this year. No.
Mount Zion Eagles. Mount Zion always got some great talent over there. Well coached. Coach Gordon and gang. Nobody does it.
Is there a better guy than Brad Gordon?
I'm not sure there is.
I mean,
there are a lot of good people that I know.
Anytime I could sit down, I feel like I can have a 30-minute conversation, with Coach Gordon, no problem.
Right.
He's just so easygoing. But he'll also get in your face and coach you, and that's what I like about him. He's a very approachable coach, but he'll also get in your face and is intense when he needs to. And he'll be the first to tell you he's got a great staff around him. Coach Thrower's been there with him along the way. Coach Joyner as well. They've built a really good program at Mount Zion, and you can kind of continue what Coach Holloway came in and started back in the mid-2015-16 era, and have grown. I'm excited to see Sherrod Montgomery come back. He tore his ACL last year. He's a really good kid, and he's got to be healthy for them to be successful. Obviously, Nathan Buchanan is a big-time guy that can play wide receiver, tight end for him. I think we might see them throw the ball a little more with Knox Israel possibly being the quarterback for them, but they're going to be in that wing tee. You can't take the wing tee away from Brad Gordon. Just can't do it.
Well,
Coach Thrower can't do it.
And they're in a region with what? Tryon and Bowden.
Yeah, they play two region games.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations, you're in the playoffs.
You're in the playoff. That's right.
You win one game, you got home field advantage.
Yeah. You get to play at home and have a chance to win the region championship. I think the problem for them is the two teams they got to play is Bowden
and Christian Harris.
I thought it was Tryon.
Christian Harris.
Christian Harris. That's right. But anyways, you're still looking at two really tough teams that they got to beat just to finish second or first to win the region. They're going to beat the defending state champions in Bowden.
That won't be an issue next year. I think the GHSA is going to try to fix all the region stuff. Hopefully.
Knock on wood.
Let's see where we at. Let's see. We need to move to the Hurt County Fighting Braves. Let's talk a little bit about those.
I love the Braves.
Yeah, I do too. Pearson, quarterback. At running back, very impressive. He impressed me. The games that I got to call of Hurt County's last year, I was very impressed with that kid. Always loved Coach Lassiter in that game down there. Those coaching staff. But here's the kicker. Kerbo's back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Kerbo's there, and he's running that offense with that kid at quarterback that came in.
Swafford
kid. Yeah, who looked like he had never played quarterback before in his life in game one, and then by the end of the year, he looked as seasoned as anybody in the area. Yeah. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do at quarterback for Hurt County because I think he's going to be a huge difference maker. But Pearson's my man. There. Yeah. He's my guy.
It's all about the coaching, though.
Yeah.
The coaching that Hurt County has with Kerbo coming back. Obviously, DJ doing the defense, Coach Kerbo, Randall doing the offense, and then Coach Shane Lasser being just a tough, gritty guy. Another great guy. Not going to find a better coach than Coach Shane Lasser, the human. And he just loved his kids, and he's going to fight for his kids, and those kids are going to fight for him. And if they can find it on the offensive and defensive lines, they're going to be always good enough at the skill positions to find a way to win football games. So if they can win, and I know it sounds like a broken record, probably win the point of attack, you're going to win the football game. Well, if they give Swafford and Pearson enough room to do stuff, they're going to be pretty doggone good.
Yeah,
especially in the region that they're in as well.
Like I said, I got to watch Swafford's first game at Hurt County when he got to play, and I don't want to say that he looked terrible. He just looked a lot out of sync. Yeah. He looked like a guy that had just walked into an offense that
He was kind of just thrown into the fire, right?
And he would, he's had 3 or 4 practices in his first game. But I'm telling you, by the end of the year, I got to see the kid play. And he looked more poised, and he looked better, and he looked confident. And I think the team was more confident with him. So I'm excited to see what he does.
That's the thing that I noticed most about Sean Swafford as the season progressed is the confidence.
Yeah.
And that first game that he played, it didn't look like he had a ton of confidence in what he was doing. But that grew and grew and grew. And obviously, the more you play with your teammates, the more you play with your coaches, the more your confidence is going to grow in them. By the end of the season, he looked insanely confident in the pocket. And I think that's just going to grow over the offseason. I can't wait to see what they do this year.
Yeah. 2 more teams, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the Haralson County Rebels. Now, Haralson County jumped in a region with Rockmart and a couple of those teams up there this past year in AA.
Fannin
County, but
you want to talk about the running Rebels? They had to go. Them and Bremen, man. I would not like to see their bus receipts.
Yeah, they got that right whenever they was trying to save gas.
Their odometers don't look too good.
But talking a little bit about Haralson County, Coach Peavy is. He may be as good as there is at helping kids get motivated, maybe, and playing a little above their head. There were games last year, like they made the comeback and beat Bremen. Bremen had them beat. Haralson County come back. But those are the things, even kind of in an off season for Haralson County, if you will, because they had four consecutive years.
You lost
that they've never had.
You lost the greatest class in the history of Haralson County football.
And the greatest, probably, player.
With Clay Hyatt, with Riley Bell, the Salmon kid. I mean, they lost we talk about generational talent with Cam Vaughn coming through Temple. A generational talent with Clay Hyatt running your offense for 4 years or 3 years. Richard Hyatt as well. I mean, those guys are hard to replace. They don't in the Haralson County area. Those are a dime a dozen. And what Coach Peavy did last year, I think, was very underrated. I know it did not show up on the scoreboard. I know it didn't show up getting back to the playoffs and the wins and losses, but it built up to this year for them.
Right.
And hopefully getting them back into the playoffs. They also played, Upson Lee last year. They played, obviously played Bremen. I don't know the whole schedule who they played off the top of my head, but I know it was a tough schedule.
They played Bowden too, I think, last year.
I know this. Scott Peavy don't schedule cupcakes.
No.
I mean he's playing tough teams, and Haralson County, the style of play that they're going to have, you got to be tough. You got to be gritty.
Well, and that's what I was getting at is that it might have kind of been an off season for them over the last few years, but the one thing that everybody knew is that when those Rebels got off the bus, you were fixing to get hit in the mouth.
Yep.
And if you were going to play them, you better strap it up. Yep, you might beat them 45-0. But in the fourth quarter, those kids are still coming after you. Mm-hmm. They're not giving up. They're not going to quit, and they're not going to lay down. So I think Haralson County's got an opportunity to be pretty good this year.
They played Raven County the first game.
Oh, yeah.
They played Mary Persons, who I think are they top 10 in Georgia history?
Just one person?
They're up there.
Something.
Yeah. Upson Lee, North Murray. I forgot about North Murray in their region.
Right.
So they've got a tough Model, Fannin County, Rockmart, and North Murray. Those 4 teams already are in the playoffs every year.
Right.
So somebody's going to get their feelings hurt, especially since Haralson County's they've become a perennial playoff team the last couple of years.
That's right. And the thing about it is, you got to look at all those road games you were talking about. They're going to be reversed this year, and they're going to be down there at Beach Creek. And those, those close football games.
The cowbells will be ringing.
You usually win those at home. You don't win a lot of those on the road, but you can win them at home.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on to the purple and gold. Villa Rica, not second year for Coach Tim Barron there. First year was great. They won a region championship, played a couple of playoff games. Everything was looking great. Kind of fell off last year as far as Villa Rica is concerned. Not the season that they wanted for sure. But then we got a new coach Barron, a young Coach Barron, who's fired up, energetic, got a bunch of young kids around him. And let me tell you something. When you take a bunch of kids and they might not have had a great year, but then they got this young cat that is energized. He can energize them. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the things, again, you can win a couple of ball games that you're not supposed to win when you got kids that are playing their butts off. Mm-hmm. And they're actually giving you everything they got. I believe, at the end of the year for Villa Rica, it was just almost like everybody was ready. Hey, let's hang up the pads. I'm ready to be done with this. Let's move on, get stronger, better, faster for next year. I really think Villa Rica's going to have a much better season. And the thing about it is, they're your team now.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to be calling them each and every Friday night.
Well, I live, eat, and breathe about a half a mile from Villa Rica High School. So my kids all go to Villa Rica, elementary schools. My wife teaches there. My mom taught there. So, we're purple and gold around our house. And last year was tough. It was tough, man. I wasn't at every Villa Rica game last year. I was out calling other games, but I'd always check on the Wildcats, and it was tough. And Timbo would tell you right off the cuff, it was a tough year, especially coming off the success he had on his first year. I'm with you. I think this year they are going to be much improved. I love the energy that Austin is bringing to that football team. He's younger. He can relate to kids. No offense, Timbo, but Austin's a little younger. He's a little bit closer to these kids' age. And he can relate to these kids a little bit more. I think he can energize them a little bit more. And in Austin and Timbo and company, they're in the process of trying to change an entire mindset around the Villa Rica football program. They are trying to get them to think like winners. That might sound easy, but that's really tough. I mean, you got to do the hard thing.